What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and today we have a bottle called Barrell Vantage. Now, before we get started, I want to be open and honest with my viewers. Barrell reached out and sent this bottle to me. They reached out on Instagram. They said, hey, we want to send you something. Do you mind? What's your address? I said, of course I do not mind. Sent them my address, and now we have this bottle right here. No stipulations attached with that, though. They didn't tell me I have to post about it on Instagram. They didn't tell me I have to give it a good review on YouTube. Nothing. They just decided to send me a bottle. I accepted, and that's what we have today. So let's pour up this bottle. Everybody knows before we get started on everything else, though, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. Triple cast finished. That's right, guys. This bottle is triple cask finished. This is a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys finished in Mizunara. I think I'm saying that correctly. I don't read a lot, so if I'm saying it wrong, let me know in the comment section below. French and toasted American oak. Obviously, I have a lot of experience with toasted American oak. French, I have a pretty good amount of experience with at this point. Mizunara, though, completely new to me. This is coming in at 113.54 proof. Barrell has always a specific proof because of the blending process and everything that they're doing is at cask strength. So let's get into it. Drinkability. Let's find out how much ethanol comes behind that 113.54 proof. And let's take one more sip to do that. Now, again, I like to be honest with you guys. This is obviously not the neck pour. This has been open for about, I would say, a week, maybe a week and a half now. The first time that I opened this, I did not like the heat on this. I texted my brother-in-law. I said, I don't know if I can review the Barrell Vantage because it's way too hot. And he said, give it a week, let it open up. And that's exactly what this bottle did. It opened up, and it opened up beautifully. Even just letting it sit in the glass for a little bit, giving it a swirl, give it 15 to 20 minutes, especially if it's the neck pour, to really open up and air out. Because I will say the first glass had a lot of heat behind it. Now that I've had 3, maybe 4 glasses of this over the past couple of weeks, it has definitely opened up nicely, and I don't think it has nearly as much heat as it originally did. Let's give you a score on drinkability, though. Now, I won't say that this is the easiest thing to drink for 113 proof. There are obviously some whiskeys that are a little bit higher proof with a little bit easier drinkability, but I will say this. We always start at an 8.0 if it drinks at its proof, and I think that's right where this belongs. It drinks right at its proof, which is what it's supposed to do, right? It's only an added benefit if it drinks under its proof because the proof is important. They think that's the proof it needs to be at to bring the flavors out that they're trying to acquire here. So for 113.54 proof, I'm going to give this an 8.0 because I think blinded it would be right in that range. 8.0 is where we're going to put this on drinkability. Now, if you've been here before, normally we get into taste next, right? I want to talk about the taste profile, how that compares to the actual proof on this. But to do that, I think it's very important to know about the 3 casks that we're using, which means we're going to get into our Bourbon Bomb of the Week a little bit early. So let's do that right now. Cheers, y'all. So that's right, for this week's Bourbon Bomb of the Week, we're going to talk about Mizunara casks, French casks, toasted American oak, and the different flavor profiles that those provide. I think it's most important to focus on the Mizunara. It's one that I don't have the most experience with. I think toasted American oak and French casks have been a little bit more predominant these days, so that's what we're going to focus on. Mizunara first, and then we'll get into the other 2. So Mizunara is actually a Japanese oak tree. Some people consider this the most flavorful oak in the world. It's actually translated to water oak, which is crazy because after 200 years, which is how long it takes to grow one of these trees before you can turn it into a cask, it takes 3 years. 3 years just to dry the oak out to turn it into a stave. So that means we're almost 203 years in before we can even turn this thing into a barrel. But the branches are so windy and thin that it makes it even more difficult, but it's very porous, which allows so much of that flavor to be soaked up. And this is going to give you all the vanilla flavors that you love when it comes to a bourbon. I think anybody who's tried to drink bourbon at any point in their life and actually pull a flavor profile out of it, vanilla seems to be the first one they come up with for good reason. This Mizunara cask is going to accentuate that vanilla that everybody loves in a bourbon, and it's definitely doing that here on this glass. And up next we have French oak, right? Which isn't new to the whiskey world by any means. Penelope has the Architect series, Maker's Mark messes around with this a bunch, and it's interesting because oak will take on the characteristics of the region around it, whether that be weather, climate, temperature, or anything in between. This particular case, French oak usually gives you something with some mellow spices as well as some chocolate notes as well. Definitely pick both of those up, but how much of it do we get? We'll find out when we get back to taste. And last but not least, we're going to get into the American oak, right? First of all, it's already here, so we don't have to ship it over. Second of all, it's so predominant and it's the least expensive of the bunch. This is going to give you all of those vanillas, those baking spices, those tobacco and dill notes, as well as those brown sugar notes that everybody truly loves in a good glass of bourbon. And again, they're definitely on this glass. Let's get back into taste zone now that we know what we're supposed to be tasting and see what we get out of this bottle. So Mizunara is definitely the important one when it comes to this particular cask, only because it's the most interesting one, it's the most sought after one, it's the least available one, and it's definitely driving up the price of everything that goes into those casks. We're going to see if it was worth it though in this particular bottle. Let's taste this and see what we give it for a score on taste. So they're not new to this by any means. It does say on the bottle this is distilled in Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. You've got to assume Indiana is MGP. Tennessee and Kentucky, I wish I knew where they were pulling from, but we just don't know. I also have to assume that each one of these is finished in one particular barrel before it's blended. So maybe MGP is finished in Mizunara, maybe the Tennessee is finished in the French, and then the last one is finished in the American oak. But again, I'm not sure. Maybe all three are finished in all three, but I feel like the cost would be way too high to do that. Then they batch it, then they barrel it, and that's what we have here. I'm interested to see what I think on taste getting into this one more time. Let's take one more sip. So here's what I'll say before I give a final score on taste. It seems like from the top of this bottle to the bottom of this bottle, I get a different experience every time. The first time I had it, it was way oaky, right? I liked it, but I didn't love it. Now that I'm 3 or 4 glasses into this, not tonight, but overall, I will say it opened up beautifully. I get a lot more of that vanilla, probably that Mizunara casks. I get a lot of that spiciness, probably from those French oak. I get a little bit of a tobacco and a sweet oak, probably from the American toasted oak on this. Everything about this glass is delicious. It's an experience when you drink it. I had something very similar when I did the seagrass. It was just so different and so amazing. I wouldn't say that this is as unique as the seagrass. It's definitely more of that bourbon realm, but at the end of the day, top to bottom, I think this is going to give you something that you've got to find that you like in it, no matter what you like. That being said, the sweetness is fantastic. Just enough spice on this. A light oak at the end. Again, I think it started out with a lot more oak, but for this particular glass, what I'm drinking tonight, I got to go easy mid to high 9s on this when it comes to my flavor profile. I'm going to say like a 9.48 when it comes to taste on this. I think the idea of experiencing a whiskey rather than just drinking it is a new concept to me. Every time I pick up Old Forester 1920, it tastes like Old Forester 1920, which is a good thing. That's what they're trying to do, right? It's a batched product. They want to be as consistent as possible. Barrell, though, is pushing the envelope on giving you an experience when you drink. At the top, it might be something different than at the bottom, and I truly enjoy that. But let's get into price right now. This is a $90 MSRP bottle. You can tell me you found it for $85. You can tell me they're charging $100. I reached out to Barrell themselves. This is $90 MSRP. And I don't hate it at $90. I got to think of other bottles that are out there for $90 that I truly love. And the first thing that comes to mind is Booker's, right? From Jim Beam. They release 4 a year though, and I only pick up 1. And there's a reason for that, because I think it is a little bit overpriced at $90. Now, do I think this is a little bit overpriced at $90? Not so much, only because now that I've experienced it, I think that it's going to be good every time they put this out. I don't know if this is a limited release or if this is going to be something they continue to do and continue to put out, but at $90, I would pick this up on the shelves all day. Let's take one more sip, finish this off, and give this a score when it comes to price. I honestly get more and more flavors as I continue to dive deeper and deeper into this, and if it wasn't 113 proof, I'd probably pour up another glass for the night just to see what else I can pull from this. But at $90, I don't hate it at all. Let's give it a really good score when it comes to price. Go high 8s, like an 8.87 when it comes to price on this. But listen, if you've made it this far in the video, make sure you click that like and that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And this bottle came in at an 8.78, a fantastic spot for it if you ask me. Again, we should have an experience tracker on this video because I think I've said it 150 times, and that truly is what you've got right here. A different experience than any other expression that I have in my collection right here. And so far, I truly love it. But listen, that's where we're going to leave you for today. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Go click that follow button over there. Check out our Patreon page. We have a lot of cool things just for Patreons. That link in the description below. Come chat with us 24/7 on Discord. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly and stay healthy, stay happy. Stay drinking. Cheers, y'all. Delicious.